So, it is November, I don't know what the date is, but it's the Sunday after the clocks fall back. And then I thought that I was going to use that hour to be productive, and instead I used it to sleep. So, there's that. And it's like you're walking around and, like, on the one hand, look at the clock and it says it's 9:30. And then you're like, oh, sweet, it's really only 8:30. But then you're like, wow, what a schlump. You didn't even get out the house until 9:30. So, well, if you're like me, who has things about getting up early and seizing the day, which come from, the way I was raised. But anyway, hello. I sometimes should introduce myself and say I'm Jen. Welcome to my channel, where I talk about mostly TV and things. And right now, the only thing I talk about are Hallmark Christmas movies. So, let's talk about Never Been Kissed. First of all, when I saw that this was coming out, my first problem was with the title, because I couldn't tell if I liked it or not. And they explain in the movie that being Kissed means that you got the chance to date Chris, played by Tyler Hynes. But then I think that they said that he winds up breaking up with you. I can't remember. Then it was like, that means you've been Kissed. So, the leads in this movie, because the leads really are Janelle Parrish and this other lady whose name I completely forgot, and I'm really sorry. This is really terrible, because now I can't even remember their character names to refer to them as their character names. Let me go look that up. Hold on. Okay, so it's really about Janelle Parrish, who plays Naomi, and the other lady's name, who I literally just looked at her name and then forgot it, but the character's name is Liz. They've been best friends since forever. And they own a company together, which we see in the beginning. They're trying to get funding for this company. And, well, back to never having been Kissed. Neither one of these guys have ever been Kissed, which we'll get to after I set up their situation. So they own like a startup. They keep referring it to as the Bay, which, I don't know. I live in the Bay, which we call the Bay Area, but that's okay. I mean, some people say the Bay. In regards to, like, I like to go down by the bay and, like, look at the actual bay, which is okay. But anyway, that doesn't really matter, does it? It doesn't at all. So anyway, they are working on their startup. We meet them and they're having a meeting to try to get some funding for that. And then, and they're about to go home for the holidays and stuff. And Liz has, like, issues and stuff with her mom, so she's going to stay with Naomi. And Naomi's issues with her mom is that her mom's too clingy, which she really does go and demonstrate later on by saying she's going to move, and she's going to pack up the house and move to Palo Alto to be closer to Naomi, and then winds up saying, I'm not, and then they try to talk her out of it and say it's really expensive, blah, 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 and she's like, yeah, okay, so we'll just move in together. And it's like, you know what? I loved my mom so much. We were like, she was my person. She was freaking amazing. But, like, even after my dad died, I asked, and we lived close to each other, but I was like, you could always come move in with me. And she said, absolutely not. Like, she wanted her space. And I, as a grown up with a kid, like, on the one, I actually would have loved to have my mom come live with me, but just as a long-term thing, as a grown up, even no matter how close you are to your mom, like, you probably want your space. And so Naomi wanted her space and stuff. So anyway, what was I going to say? So I never know what I'm going to say. So anyway, we go home and establish this, but right off the bat, as soon as they get into town, before they even get to, like, see mom or anything, they wind up running into Chris. And they kind of swoon. Like, so do I. So, because Tyler Hynes is, I think he's got to be the most beautiful, charismatic guy that we have on Hallmark. I'm pretty sure that this has to be the case. Sometimes I won't forget that, but, like, I'll just be like, yeah, obviously I love Tyler Hynes. And then I see him, and then I'm reminded that he is undoubtedly the most beautiful. Obviously, this is subjective, but it's not just that he's so beautiful. He is so charismatic. He's so funny. Like, he's a natural comedian, you can tell, which reminds me, I really need to go watch Letterkenny, which is a Canadian show that he's on too. And my friend, I have a friend who keeps telling me to go watch that show, and I need to watch that show. But anyway, because part of my problem with trying to figure out how to review this movie is that I feel like I've been Tylered. I've never been Chrised, but I have been Tylered. And by being Tylered, I mean, like, just his presence, like, really winds up, I think, influencing how I feel about a movie. Like, the first of those, those Blake Shelton movies where everybody needs to come home for Christmas, the first one of those that I actually, like, gave a pretty positive review was the one that Tyler Hynes was in. Do with that what you will. So, anyway, in the beginning of this movie, I was really struggling, though. And I will tell you why. Because the two of them, it's kind of established, I think, more that Janelle Parrish had a crush on him. But also, Liz seems to be smitten by him too, and they go out like in a group because he still lives in town, and he's an English teacher, which makes him even hotter in my opinion. And he had gone to the Marines, and once he got out of the Marines, he's came back here, and he's an English teacher at their old high school and stuff. So they do some group stuff, like with a large group. And at first when we meet this group, they do this thing where, because these are all people they went to high school with, where they like flash a high school yearbook picture and to show like, oh, this person was voted most popular, this class clown or whatever. And then in a way they come across as like the stereotypes. And I'm thinking this is a really kind of lazy, boring introduction to these people, that we don't get to see what these people are like because they're telling us this. Then they also, to me, act stereotypical, especially this one character. I don't remember her name. It's the only black character in the movie, and when we first meet her, she seems terrible. Like, just she's like, I don't have time for anything that's going on right here. But as it goes on, then she seems fine. But our first introduction to her is that she seems like she could care less about seeing anybody or whatever because she's too good for everybody else, which is so weird. But anyway, and the other thing that I struggled with was that they go on these like threesome dates, kind of like just outings, Tyler and Janelle and Liz. And in the beginning, you can't tell kind of who he is attracted to or who he's having chemistry with, and you can't tell which one of them likes him more. And it just feels like, cringy, because if anybody's ever been in that situation, like one of the only times that I have a best friend that I've had since age 12. Ridiculously lucky that this is the case. And at the age of 53, this person is still my best friend. And one of the only times that we ever had any kind of static between us was that we were both like crushing on the same guy. And like, have always been like this, like I am now, like tall, awkward, whatever. And like, she was just like, in my opinion, she still is all of these things. Perfect height and beautiful and gorgeous. And I was like, well, why can't you go have a crush on somebody else? Because you can have like anybody that you want and, fuck off kind of thing. It sounds terrible, but it's kind of how I felt at the time. I'm going to have to tell her she's going to have to watch this, because even though she's my best friend, she's going to be watching this, because this kind of stuff is really only for people who are like crazy into Hallmark, or I have no idea. Put this on for the background I always say, put this on for your background while you're scrubbing your toilets or whatever. I'm perfect just hanging out while you're cleaning, like background. Honest to goodness. Anyway, so that was cringy to me, and I think that was bringing up maybe my own stuff or something, but also it just felt cringe to me so once we got to the point where it's like, it seems pretty clear, okay, that he's into Naomi and Naomi's into him, and Liz at first seemed a little wounded by that, but then it like opens up this whole story of kind of like, I don't know, there's like some codependency going on in here, because Liz had been accepted to Stanford but didn't go, which is so crazy, because her mom, like, one of the things that happens when she comes home is they're like, oh yeah, your sister, her younger sister, who is like, her mom is remarried, and so she has a younger sister, and her sister got into Stanford. And part of the stuff with Liz and her mom seems to be that Liz feels like kind of left out. Mom shows a holiday card that doesn't have Liz in it, and she's like, well, you're never here for us to take a picture. And so the fact that she would have been accepted to Stanford and not gone just because she felt like Naomi needed her to be around, but Naomi's dad died in their senior year. So like on the one hand, it's this huge like altruistic like thing to do, but she never told her about it. I don't know, like it. And then Liz wanted to go to dances and stuff, or like Naomi wanted to go to dances, but they never went because she didn't think that, but because Liz didn't want to go. And then Liz was like, well, I didn't want to go to dances because I was going to be standing around and you were going to get picked. So it was kind of like they were doing these things like sacrificing for each other and stuff. And even with their company, like it was Liz's idea. Liz is the one who's really into this, and sort of like Naomi just went along with her and stuff. So basically this just sort of just like, you know, once back to the present, once Naomi and Chris start going out on dates, and then Liz starts hanging out with these other high school friends and stuff. And so it's kind of all about like, we can be best friends, but we don't have to do everything together, and we have been there for each other, and we can continue to be there for each other even if our lives are going to go into different directions and stuff. So God, I've talked a lot. I'm going to make this is going to get 3.5 stars for me. And I think that it could really be like a 3.25 star, but it's getting bumped up because I'm so impressed with Hallmark for having the, for the fact that it's a different, because it's really a story about these best friends, kind of with the romance on the side. So that, and then like Tyler Hynes has to automatically get like a 1/4 star. And I'm just trying to think about like some of the other movies and how I've ranked them and stuff, and trying to also count in the fact that I was struggling hard in the beginning. So I don't know, like I'm going to go ahead and stop talking now because it's been too long, but I do recommend this movie. I recommend this movie. So it might even make it to a 4 for me after I go and think about this, even though I said I was going to sleep on it, and I did sleep on it. And now I'm still not sure, if it's, where it's landing. I don't know. So I'll figure that out when I'm doing the edit, and I'll put it right there. Gosh, guys, thanks for being here. As always, you're amazing. You're the best. I appreciate you. If you're here and you want to give me a like, it makes my life, makes my day. If you want to subscribe, that also does it. Like, remember, I don't do this for money. I just do this for fun because old people need hobbies, but still, it just makes me happy. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for listening. I love you so much for being here. You're the best. Okay, bye.